All right, thank you very much, Aaron. The legendary Rose Bowl here in Pasadena, California on a spectacular day. And we're ready for two of the top teams in the country as Stanford battles UCLA. And let's take a look at the Pac-12 championship game scenarios.
We now know with Oregon winning big today that UCLA cannot host. So Stanford, if they win, they host UCLA in Palo Alto. If UCLA wins the game, they head north to take on Oregon. And those two teams did not meet this season in the regular portion.
Hi, everybody. I'm Gus Johnson along with my partner Charles Davis, and welcome to Pasadena for the Stanford Cardinal. What a year it's been for them. Last week they go to Eugene and defeat the number 2 ranked Ducks, and this defense is something special.
They held Oregon to 14 points. Oregon was averaging 54 points, and that was 14 points in overtime. And they're led by their hybrid linebackers, guys who can do everything. All-American outside linebacker Chase Thomas. How about Trent Murphy, maybe the most underrated linebacker in the country. But the offense is really starting to perk now because of the insertion of youngster Kevin Hogan at quarterback. His ability to run the football stretches the field.
What a season for Jim Moore. In only 1 year, 9 wins, a Pac-12 South Division championship. And when you look at what he has on offense, specifically a terrific 1-2 punch in Brett Hundley and Jonathan Franklin.
What a relationship. It's a special relationship. The runner, Jonathan Franklin, opens things up for the passer, Brett Hundley. But Brett Hundley can run the football too, which also creates extra opportunities for Jonathan Franklin. A dynamic duo. And don't overlook the UCLA defense. They are physical, they are tough. Aaron Barr, Eric Kendricks at linebacker, they'll hit you in a hurry.
So coming up, UCLA and Stanford, these two teams with terrific wins last week. We'll see if they're headed for a home and home. Who knows?
This one picked off on the first play of the game. Jump ball, Hurts, touchdown. Jonathan Franklin smelling outside, touchdown. Gerald Price blocks it. Another big play by the Wolves. It is good. Stanford wins.
As Stanford, ranked number 8 in the nation, take on the young UCLA Bruins. Gus Johnson, along with Charles Davis, Julie Alexandria on the sideline. Stanford won the toss, and they've elected to receive the football. Redshirt freshman Brett Hundley ready. As Jackson Cummings and Wright are back deep for Stanford. And we're underway. And this one out of the end zone. Jeff Locke leading the Pac-12 with 30 punts down inside the 20 and 60 touchbacks this year. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the Taco Bell impact players.
How about Stephon Taylor, the running back for Stanford? He's an all-time player for them. Zach Ertz, the game-winning touchdown at Oregon last week. And Trent Murphy, underrated at linebacker, one of the best players in the country. For UCLA, Joseph Fourier at tight end is a matchup nightmare. Eric Kendricks at linebacker leads the Pac-12 in tackles. And Anthony Barr, 12 sacks on the season after moving over from running back a year ago.
First down and 10 of the 25. Hewitt and Taylor in the backfield. Here's the handoff. Stephon Taylor. Wow, he runs into a wall. So this Stanford team led by Kevin Hogan from McLean, Virginia. Last week against Oregon in his first career road start. 25 for 36, 211, a touchdown to Zach Ertz to tie the score in the fourth quarter. Pep Hamilton, the offensive coordinator, chose this kid from DC and loves him.
Found a jewel when not a lot of people were recruiting him nationally.
Now Taylor running over the left side. And he'll gain about a yard. And think about this game, Anthony Barr first man to him. When you look at these two teams, Charles, we have the potential to watch a very violent football game, and we can't wait to see it.
We're talking about old school, aren't we?
Yes.
You're not something you would have said about UCLA in recent years, but they can't wait to match up with the challenge of the run game, the heavy physical run game that Stanford brings each and every week. Look at the third down conversions. Neither one of them giving a whole lot in the month of November.
So on the opening drive for Stanford, third down and 9 at the 26. Taylor in the backfield. They give it to him on the delayed handoff. Breaks through. Taylor picking his way forward, still churning. And Stephon picks up 19 on 3rd down and 9. First down, Cardinal. Eric Kendricks with the tackle.
And that's what makes things very difficult for a defense when you're preparing for Stanford. There almost is no such thing as a passing down for Stanford. That was 3rd and 9. You bring your nickel defense out, you go a little bit lighter up front, and they go heavy anyway and run the football and pick up a first down. But Stanford, every down, you're in danger of them handing it off and the big fella's coming off the ball at you.
Stephon Taylor now over 4,000 yards rushing in his career. Hogan hit as he throws. And incomplete. And that's Cassius Marsh and Damian Holmes getting into the backfield.
Feel like on this play, watch as the pass rush comes at Hogan. Look to the left side of your screen. Marsh, normally a defensive end, moved to defensive tackle, moved down inside. And he ends up beating Khalil Wilkes, number 65, to Hogan. It felt like UCLA guessed correctly. Lou Spanos, the defensive coordinator, that Stanford wanted to throw the ball early in the down and distance count and set up his pass defense accordingly.
That makes it 2nd down and 10 at the 45. Here's the handoff. This time it's Seal, and a flag on the play. He'll pick up the first down. Running left, but let's see. Aaron Hester with the tackle.
Personal foul, hands to the face on the defense. That's a 15-yard penalty, first down. Player number 54's helmet came off because of the foul. He does not have to stay out for one play.
Like the explanation there to tell you, because I know people are saying, hey, his helmet was off. Why isn't he coming out of the game? That's why. Hands to the face penalty, knocked the helmet off. He's able to stay on the field. Look in the middle of the scrum. Yankee 54 blocking. He's actually got a handful of cloth there, gets away with it as the hands to the face took precedence against Cassius Marsh, number 99.
So the result, a 27-yard play, first down and 10 on their opening drive at the UCLA 28. And they'll throw it incomplete. Terrell, the intended receiver, he hadn't swung his head around quick enough.
Notice what we're seeing early in the game? It's such a cat and mouse. Pep Hamilton, offensive coordinator. Lou Spanos, defense coordinator for UCLA. A couple of first down passes now that we've seen from Stanford. Normally a heavy run team. 1st and 10 is it. That's Lou Spanos, the D coordinator. He set his defense accordingly, and both times on first down, he guessed correctly that Stanford wanted to throw the ball. Heavy pressure in the face of Kevin Hogan, the young quarterback. Normally on first down throws, he should be clean in the pocket to fire it.
2nd down and 10 at the 28-yard line. Out of the offset eye, Hewitt and Taylor in the backfield. Here's Hogan on the move. Hogan pulls it down, now dumps it off to his fullback, and Ryan Hewitt, the redshirt junior from Denver, makes the catch, and they're so pleased to have a healthy Ryan Hewitt in the lineup.
Early in the season, Gus, he missed the first 2 games. We saw him against USC. That was his first game back from an injured ankle. And his dimensions and his versatility add so much to the offense, as you noted. He can play fullback, he can play tight end, H-back, catch the ball out of the backfield, can run it, and is a terrific blocker.
He's a big boy, 6'4", 248. 3rd down and short. Cardinal need a yard at the 19. 2 tight ends out of the eye. Taylor straight ahead, and he'll get that forward lean and pick up the first down. First down and 10 to the 17. Hogan to Terrell. Terrell spinning, and he'll go down at the line of scrimmage, maybe a half yard on the play. Epinesa with pursuit for the Bruins.
You're talking about a 6'1", 310-pound nose tackle, number 98, Sayali Epinesa, making the pursuit, starting to rush the passer, and then peeling off and going out making the tackle in open field.
10th play of the drive that started at the 25-yard line for the Cardinal. 2nd down and 10 at the 17. Hogan to Taylor. And Taylor, look at him. Squares his shoulders, drives to the 10, picks up a hard 6 for Stanford.
Stanford showing that heavy formation again. They brought in Dylan Bunnell, who was into the game, and he was wearing number 96. He's normally an offensive guard. He usually wears number 75. He came in the game, lined up in the backfield, motioned out towards the tight end position. David Shaw is a former wide receiver, but he likes to see the guys mash up front before they spread it out and throw it.
3rd down and 4 at the 11. Zach Ertz is in the slot at the top of your screen. He's terrific down here. Hogan pulls it down, looking. Hogan, he's got a receiver. Terrell, touchdown. Hogan improvising, buying time, and he puts that one on the money.
And that's why Pep Hamilton made the move to Kevin Hogan at quarterback. His ability to extend the play with his legs, vision downfield, and find an open receiver for a touchdown is something Stanford did not have early in the season. That added dimension has really sparked the offense in recent weeks.
Extra point up and good. Young Kevin Hogan, redshirt freshman from McLean, Virginia, Gonzaga High School, leading them on their opening drive. 11 plays, 75 yards. He finds his main man in the end zone for a touchdown. Cardinal lead at 7-zip. Walker, Jerry Rice Jr. back deep. This is Kenneth Walker. Oh, and Walker upended at the 12-yard line. Some great looking play on special teams. And I believe that's Drew Madu with the tackle.
21 on 21. Look at him getting downfield, breaks down. Not textbook, but effective. Upending Walker and making UCLA start deep in their own territory.
1st down and 10 at the 13 for the UCLA Bruins. Brett Hundley, the quarterback. Pump fake. He'll take a shot early on. Incomplete. Jerry Johnson, the intended receiver, but Jordan Richards back defensively. So the redshirt freshman, Brett Hundley, last week against SC, 22 of 30, 234, a touchdown. He was sacked 5 times. He also rushed 16 times for 2 short touchdowns.
Still learning about taking care of getting rid of the football in the pocket, but Jim Mora likes his ability to extend plays and would rather have him hold it a little bit longer right now in hopes of making a big play than getting rid of it early.
Jonathan Franklin running the football. He'll get to the 20, gains 5 yards on a play. And what a season it's been for the finalists for the Doak Walker Award, along with Kenyon Barner and Monty Ball of Wisconsin.
Continues to chase down records as he plays. He can do it all, run it. Now he's splitting out wide as a receiver. You name it, he can do it.
Empty backfield, Hundley in trouble. Now he'll dance out of the pocket. Hundley up top. Caught! Down the sideline. Shaq Evans dragged down inside the 10. 71 yards. Eddie Reynolds with the saving tackle.
Look at Brett Hundley creating a play in the pocket. Right there, he should have gone down. He doesn't. Now, what he does is he throws his receiver open. In other words, watch where he throws the football. He tells Shaq Evans, go get it, as he throws it to the middle of the field and lets Evans run underneath it. Well done by Brett Hundley. Great poise in the pocket and great field awareness about where the football needed to go.
1st down and goal at the 10-yard line for UCLA. They'll run it. And Jonathan Franklin met immediately in the backfield. Tarpley with the tackle. A.J. Tarpley from Plymouth, Minnesota.
Began the year as a starter. The next 3 games he was not. Regained the starting position, and Derek Mason, who's done a fantastic job as a defense coordinator at Stanford this season, says he's playing as well as any linebacker they have, which is high praise because I think all 4 of them should be at least all conference.
Last week, Stanford's defense held the Ducks to only 41 points under their season average. This one deflected at the line of scrimmage. And they manhandled Oregon as Trent Murphy got a hand on that football.
What is that you said to me in our meeting? When did it become the time that the smartest guys in the room were the meanest guys in the room?
That's right.
And that's what Stanford is. And that play we just saw by Trent Murphy, they use him like a joker. All right, if you're playing a card game where the joker's wild, he can rush the passer, he can fall back into coverage. On that play, he tipped the ball away and prevented a completion.
3rd down and goal at the 14. UCLA on their opening drive. Jonathan Franklin behind Hundley. Here's Brett Hundley. He'll loft it to Fourier. Touchdown! Joseph Fourier again, posting up on the goal line. This young man has been spectacular this year. His 11th receiving touchdown of the season.
This is an example, but UCLA likes to say, throw it up there to the top shelf, put it where the kids can't get it. Look at that. See the extension of Fourier? At 6'7", he goes up over the top, and Hundley knows that, places it in the proper spot. The kids can't get it before the holidays.
I don't know.
UCLA scores.
Not at all. I don't know. We're going to have to call Ben Howland. He's going to need a guy to bang on the box. It might be Joseph Fourier. He's been wonderful. We're tied at 7. Joseph Fourier, 11th touchdown catch this season. Most by a UCLA receiver since 1993. Remember J.J. Stokes?
Oh, yes. Another tall, angular receiver. Not as tall as Fourier at 6'7". I love what he had to say. Anytime you throw it up to me, I've got the advantage because they're not making defensive backs at 6'6", 6'7" yet. I don't see that.
Bruins send it away. Kelsey Young back deep. And they'll return it up to the 27-yard line. Kevin Hogan lines up, first down and 10 at his own 26. He'll hand it off to Stephon Taylor. He is ambushed and taken down in the backfield. Odigizua with the tackle.
Owamabe jumping inside and fronting up a ball carry on a first down carry. So you know Stanford won't be daunted. They're going to press the running game for all 4 quarters. But if Odigizua and the rest of his line mates keep making plays like that, that gives UCLA a chance in the fine run game against the fine run game of Stanford.
Second down and 12 at the 24. Hewitt and Taylor in the backfield. Here's Taylor, spun around, and he won't go anywhere. Terrific job by Andrew Abbott, the senior from Long Beach, California.
Dayton Jones, number 56, jumped up excited too. How about Andrew Abbott? Oh, safety. Getting up close to the line of scrimmage, sees the play, jumps past the block and in the hole, and makes the initial contact. Andrew Abbott, a former walk-on, now captain of the team.
Jim Mora telling us before the game that our goal is to go to Oregon and beat the Ducks, period. We'll see if they can accomplish that. Third down, 14 at the 22. Taylor. And Taylor running hard. Tevin McDonald stands him up. Waits for his teammates. Damian Holmes, Anthony Barr there as well.
On the first drive, Stanford went 3 for 3 on third downs. This time UCLA limits them, gets off the field and forces a punt.
So Daniel Zielinski named the Pac-12 Special Teams Player of the Week after averaging 46 yards per punt. Back deep, Shaq Evans, fair caught at the 17, a 54-yard punt. First down and 10 at the 18-yard line for young Brett Hundley from Chandler, Arizona. Jonathan Franklin in the backfield with him.
Prior to the snap, false start on the offense, number 60. That's a 5-yard penalty, first down.
So Brett Hundley, he's already thrown for over 3,000 yards this season, 26 touchdowns, only 9 interceptions. And for the season, over his last 5 games, he's completing 75% of his passes.
And they need him to be sharp now. That first down penalty puts him behind the chains, as they say, 1st and 15 instead of 1st and 10.
He's in trouble, and he's sacked for the first time this afternoon. Chase Thomas getting to the quarterback.
An All-American last year. Watch Chase Thomas now. Okay, coming from the right side of your screen, comes inside and gets Brett Hundley on the stunt. Thomas came into the game 3.5 sacks on the year. A very unselfish player who could have had more, but they've used him in different roles this year.
Team's second leading tackler. Here's Hundley dancing in the pocket. In major trouble. Hundley finally stopped at the 5-yard line as Josh Morrow grabbed his ankle and brought him down.
You know, UCLA is the worst in the nation in terms of penalties. Give up too many. All right, look at the play here. Coverage downfield, nowhere to go with the football. That's why Brett Hundley had to continue to scramble. But this penalty they took on first down set them behind the chains in running their offense. Jim Mora doesn't care about penalties. Those are the penalties that hurt you.
They're down at 22, and they elect to run the football. And well short of the first down, a 9-yard gain.
So think about it. 1st and 10, they jump off sides, right? Jeff Baca, now you're 1st and 15, changes your play call. Stanford gets a sack on first down, sets you way behind what you're trying to do on down and distance, ends up leading to punting the football away.
Locke sends it away. Terrell from the 35, flag on the play, and he's wrapped up at the 44-yard line, a 50-yard punt and an 8-yard return.
Interference with the opportunity to catch the kick on the kicking team, number 31. 15-yard penalty, first down.
The Stanford Cardinal coming off that 17-14 overtime win against Oregon in Eugene. Kevin Hogan hitting Zach Ertz with the game-tying 10-yard touchdown. And they'll run the football right here is Anthony Wilkerson.
Gus, look at this. I think that Stanford gained some extra field position, benefit of the call. Look at Tom Carter, 25, pushing Moreau in the back. And then he got some help from Uswa Amanum. And Jim Moore is not happy about it because his guy, he felt, was pushed in the back and pushed into the kick-catch interference, which moved the ball up for Stanford and gave him good field position. I think Coach Moore had a gripe there.
2nd down and 2 at the 42. Kelsey Young in the backfield now. Here's the play fake. Hogan over the middle, incomplete. The intended receiver, Rashard Patterson. Mike Pereira, your opinion on Jim Moore's point?
I think Jim Moore, I think you all have a valid point. It's not interference for one thing because he wasn't directly in front of him and within a yard. And there was a slight push that kind of pushed him down in, but then even so, he just reached out with the right arm and made contact on the leg after the ball was catched. So I really can't place that in a category that's interference, period.
All right, Mike, thank you. 3rd down and 2 at the 42. Out of the shotgun. Low snap handled by Hogan. Steps into his throw. Down. And incomplete. Guess who? Anthony Barr.
Not much he has not done this year. And Gus, when we saw UCLA early in the season against Nebraska, you remember what Anthony Barr was playing with? Remember he had that big cast, a big club on his hand? Look what happens when you have 2 hands available. Coverage on Zach Ertz, who may be the hottest tight end in the country right now, reaching around, knocks the ball away.
Zaklinski standing at the 45. Here's a Darren Bennett Aussie kick, end over end, and it takes a bounce and is down inside the 5.
How about that game of the week with the transformer, Colin Kaepernick, taking over at quarterback with a scintillating performance on Monday night against the Bears.
Well, 1st down and 10, out to 4, and this time it's Jonathan Franklin. Shane Skold with the tackle. How about Shane Skold? 10 tackles last week. What a wonderful player. Looks like he's getting his explosion back.
After the knee injury that knocked out most of last season. And when you talk about Shane Skov, remember when we saw him at his peak, Orange Bowl 2 seasons ago. 12 tackles against Virginia Tech. He was an absolute tackling machine. Gets hurt early last season, and everything's back mentally, physically, except, as you noted, Gus, the explosion. Always the last thing to come back, but he's getting there now.
Shaq Evans with the grab, 1st down Bruins. And quietly, Shaq Evans has really been racking up numbers over the last few weeks. Against SC, at 8 catches, 114 yards. He's their team's leading receiver with 47 catches coming into this game, close to 700 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Not only has he been the leader of a very young receiving corps at UCLA, he's doing exactly what you just noted. He's leading by example now. He's playing to peak efficiency.
Here's the run, Jordan James, and a first down. Trent Murphy had to bring him down from behind. Are you surprised at how this UCLA team is able to run the ball on Stanford?
I'm not to this extent because of this reason. They said they were going to be committed to running the ball a little bit more than maybe people thought. And this is a young offensive line that has grown up throughout the year and is playing more physically than we've seen in recent years at UCLA.
First down and 10 at the 48. James maybe a yard on the play.
What they're doing with Stanford, and not every play is going to be a great play, as you can see, because Stanford's defensive front is so good. But if you can move them a little laterally and then put your foot in the ground and strike right up inside in the hole and really go with some force, that's where you're going to grind out the 3, 4, 5, 6 yard runs that keep the chains moving.
Second down and 10 at the 28. Hundley swings it out. James bottled up and taken down. Jordan Richards, the sophomore, with a very nice open field tackle.
And that play should help Stanford's run defense. We look at the third down conversion because that was a lateral. That was not a forward pass. Look at the third down conversion. Last 3 games, Stanford had only given up 8 third downs. Tonight, they've given up 3 already.
Third down at 14 of the 24. Empty backfield for Hundley.
This diamond set down here, the 4 receivers. Watch them all flush and go to different spots now, trying to confuse the secondary.
Here's Hundley. He'll fire up the sideline. Caught! He went away and found Jerry Johnson. 31 yards.
So what they did was they showed the 4 receivers to one side and ran a one-on-one route with Johnson up top against Terrence Brown, the most experienced cornerback on Stanford's roster. Well-thrown football. Nice route by Jerry Johnson getting on top of Terrence Brown.
Now they'll go back to the ground attack. Franklin. Here's Jerry Johnson. 31-yard grab. Second down, 7 at the 42. Draw play. And space for Jonathan Franklin as he stood up. What's Stanford's weakness on defense?
Well, going into the season, it was the secondary. Terrence Brown was the only returning starter, and he was playing at corner. But they've gotten better throughout the year. Alex Carter's helped solidify the other corner. Ed Reynolds, 5 interceptions, 3 returned for touchdowns, and Jordan Richards has been all over the field. All in all, I don't think they have a glaring weakness.
Oh, Shaq Evans. He'll have nightmares about that one. Wide open over the middle.
You know, people will point to the pass defense of Stanford and look at the numbers and go, well, that's their weakness. Well, part of that is because you have to throw the ball because they're only giving up about 71 yards per game running the ball. And when you have an opportunity like that, Shaq Evans, whose hands they said have gotten more consistent, that's when he has to catch and move it downfield against the tough defensive front.
So on 4th down and 3, at the Stanford 38, UCLA electing to go for it. Here's Hundley. Oh, he'll quick punt it. And that is a new wrinkle. All the way down to the 1.
That's old school. That's playing field position and making sure you have your quarterback as a triple threat. A guy who can run it, a guy who can throw it, and a guy who can kick it. That's like an old single-wing tailback. And Brett Hundley shows another dimension of his already expansive game. See, Jim Moore's a defensive guy. Okay, let's play field position here. Put it down there for me, Brett. And now he's got his defense on the field against a good offense, starting on their own 2-yard line. Well done by the UCLA quarterback and the head coach going with the quick kick.
First career punt for Hundley. Now Stanford comes back on. Closing moments of the first quarter. We've had a good one. It's a tie ball game at 7. They mark it at the 2. Hewitt trying to give him some room, and he will. Gains 2 yards on the play, and that should be the end of the first quarter. With the score, Stanford 7, UCLA 7. Fox College Football will be back after these messages. Start of the second quarter, our game is tied at 7 apiece. Each team scored on their opening drive. Stanford going 11 plays, 75 yards, eating up close to 5 minutes as Hogan hit Terrell for a touchdown. And then Fourier with a touchdown for UCLA on a 6-play, 87-yard drive. Second down and 7 at the 5-yard line. Here's the handoff, Taylor. And Stephon Taylor gets to the 9.
And the goal here for Stanford, all right, let's be honest. The goal is always to score. We know that. But when you start on your own 2-yard line, the true goal of your offense is to try and get 2 first downs. So if you get 2 first downs, then you have to punt the football, you flip field position. You've helped your defense out. If you punt it here, field position favors UCLA heavily. Key third down for Stanford on this drive.
Third down and 2 at the 10. Hogan in the shotgun. He'll throw it. Ball incomplete. That one right through the hands of Jamal Rashad Patterson.
That's his second one that he probably should have caught today. The inside slant that he missed earlier as we look at Anthony Barr pass rushing. Good pickup by Stephon Taylor, one of the better pass protecting running backs in the country. And that was one that Patterson should have hauled in.
So Shaq Evans is back deep. Zaklinski out of his own end zone. This one will go out of bounds at make it the 47-yard line, the Stanford 47. So coming up, Brett Hundley with excellent field position. Senior day here at UCLA. As you take a look at Jonathan Franklin and his mom, Sheldon Price, playing here for the final time. Joseph Fourier in the feature told us that he'd give the flowers to his mom, man of his word.
Smart young man, too. You saw Jerry Johnson go through. Many thought he wouldn't finish his career here at UCLA. Jim Mora gave him a clean slate this season, and boy, has he produced for the Brewers.
Jonathan Franklin, speaking of a man producing, stopped by David Perry.
And David Perry's playing at nose today because Terrence Stevens, the normal starter, is not here. Missing the game due to a personal issue back in Palo Alto.
And our Julie Alexandria.
Illegal snap on the offense, number 54. 5-yard penalty, second down.
Our Julie Alexandria had a chance to talk to Coach Moore about his seniors.
He said that's right, Gus. I talked to Coach Mora before the game, and he said that emotions were running high with these guys, and he said, I'm really going to miss this group of seniors. Got a chance to talk to Joseph Fourier as he was warming up, and he said, I can't believe this is our last game. Emotions running really high. Big day for these seniors.
All right, thank you very much, Julie. Second down and 8 at the 45.
Yeah, Coach Mora talked about how much fun he has with this group and how much fun this group has together. A really tight-knit team.
Hundley throws a missile, and that is Shaq Evans with the catch at the 40. 6-yard gain.
So the field position was set up well for UCLA after holding Stanford on downs, and then the punt going out of bounds on the 46, 47-yard line. Key third down now. Can Stanford stop them here and put UCLA in a bind because they don't have a long-range field goal kicker unless they decide to go with the punter, Jeff Locke.
Third down and 2 at the 39. Quick throw, Shaq Evans, first down. Ed Reynolds with the tackle, but not after Shaq Evans got enough for the first. He got 5 on 3rd and 2.
Love the way he caught the ball, Gus, and just went straight upfield, understanding where the chains were for the first down. Excellent intelligence and good toughness to pick up the first down.
First down and 10 at the 34.
David Shaw having a conversation with Jack Foley, or let's see if he's challenging.
Stanford is challenging the ruling on the field of a completed pass.
Now that's going to be the play to Shaq Evans. first I thought maybe his knee was down, but I think what Stanford's saying is they think the ball skipped to Shaq Evans. It wasn't a completed pass, and they would be correct. Ball hit ground. That's not going to count as a catch in my book, I don't believe. And I don't believe it's going to count for them either. That skipped to Shaq Evans. He looked like a shortstop, fielding a ground ball and went upfield and got the first down. Good eyes by the Stanford staff upstairs, getting in the challenge. That ball should come back.
How about Coach David Shaw, 40 years old? Is this his team now?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. And a lot of people didn't want to say it was his team last year. They wanted to still say it was Jim Harbaugh's team because Andrew Luck was there. It was his team last year. But the perception was, well, Andrew Luck's there, that's Jim Harbaugh, the whole thing. David Shaw coached Andrew Luck and was the offensive coordinator of those teams, and then ascended to the role as head coach. It's been his team since he took over. There shouldn't be any question at this point about whether this is David Shaw's team.
11-2 last year, 7th in the final polls after the 41-38 loss to Oklahoma State in the Fiesta Bowl. Just a talented group of coaches at Stanford. Their coordinators, it's going to be awfully hard during a season of change.
After review, it's determined the ball did hit the ground. Incomplete pass. It'll be 4th down and 2 from the 40-yard line. Play clock, timer, please reset the game clock to 13:03.
So UCLA will punt it away. It's going to be awfully hard to keep these coordinators here.
Well, you got many jobs open. There's one across the bay in Cal now. The offense coordinator Pep Hamilton, likely to be a strong candidate for that job. Derek Mason getting plenty of attention from around the country for his work as a defensive coordinator. After the Oregon game, my phone blew up from people saying,
Really?
Who is that running that defense? It's Derek Mason, Stanford.
You know, if your phone blows up, that means something. So the Bruins send it away. Terrell lets it go over his head. And it's down at about the 12-yard line. 7 apiece, 12:54 to play in the second quarter. Sun going down in LA as the Cardinal take over. Stanford 9 plays, 17 yards since their opening drive as we take a look at the game summary. First down and 10 at the 12. There's the handoff. Taylor stumbling. Taylor finally going down. Eric Kendricks. And how about Eric Kendricks? He has just been having a monster All-America type season.
And you mentioned monster. He's a film monster. Likes to spend a lot of time in the film room, understanding his defense as a whole, and also figuring out how to get to the ball. And when he does it quite well. He leads the Pac-12 in tackles. How about last week? How about these numbers? He went again in the Pac-12 defensive player with 10 tackles, had a tackle for loss, a forced fumble, an interception, and blocked a punt. He was all over the field against USC.
Second down and 7 to the sideline. And caught. This time, Patterson holds on and gets out of bounds after picking up the first down. And they've been waiting for this kid to come along for quite some time.
Track speed, ran on the track team for 2 years. He's a guy who can stretch a defense, but you have to catch it at the end of the play. We've seen 2 already this evening that he probably should have caught. Nice for him, nice for the offense that he gets a catch to help his confidence. And that was a very nice throw from Kevin Hogan. From the pocket to the wide side of the field, stuck it right on Patterson, right between the 2 and the 1.
Ricky Seal comes in to play running back for the Cardinal. And they give it to him running left. And he will go nowhere. Dayton Jones.
And you know what UCLA is doing a nice job of? Controlling the line of scrimmage for the most part against the run game of Stanford. Because everyone knows where they're supposed to be. You hear about people being gap sound? What gap sound means is each guy has an assignment in their defense against running plays. Be in that proper position, be in that gap, and trust your teammate to be there also and not allow creases for cutbacks.
Second down and 11 at the 23. Hogan in the shotgun. He'll let it fly. Under pressure. Broken away at the last moment by Barn. Flag to Lolo, the tight end, the intended receiver.
And if the call goes Stanford's way, Tololo, number 11, created the interference.
Pass interference on the defense, number 11, not playing the ball. 15-yard penalty, first down.
See, I would not say that he didn't play the ball because he turned and actually played the football.
I think that's just a bad call.
But I think if you're going to say the call you give the call any credence, he put his arm on him before the ball got there. That would be the proper call to me. Not that he didn't play the ball, because he did turn and play the football.
UCLA, 5 penalties, 55 yards. Stanford, a clean sheet thus far. First down and 10 at the 38. Here's Taylor. And nothing. Dang tackling by UCLA. Andrew Abbott, first man to her. Aaron Hester in as well.
Do you see how they just walled everything off? Watch the defense in front of UCLA. Running play occurs. There's no place to go. Look at that right there. Stop. Look, where do you go with it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 UCLA Bruins. Stephon Taylor nowhere to go with the football. Everyone holding the point of attack, staying in their proper gaps and lanes, and filling.
Second down and 11 at the 37. We haven't seen Barr rush the passer yet. He has 12 sacks on the season. 4th in the nation. Hogan steps up, wants to run with wheels. Hogan, first down. Fluid running stance for Kevin Hogan. Took him no time to tuck it and run.
And how about the assist he got from his star runner, Stephon Taylor, who does everything for this team. Watch Hogan, looks downfield, nothing there. Now watch to the right side of your screen. Watch the flash in white. That's 33, Stephon Taylor, coming from pass protection, getting downfield to assist his quarterback for extra yardage.
First down at the 47. Play fake. Hogan sets up deep in the pocket. Caught by Ertz. Zach Ertz down at the 20. One of the great tight ends in all of college football. One of 3 finalists for the John Mackey Award.
All right, it's a two-person route. Toilolo here, Ertz here. Clears down the middle, across field, and that's where he ends up going with the football. Watch Kevin Hogan. He takes a look for the deep shot downfield. It's not there, so he throws to the open spot where Ertz is crossing the field. 2-man route, maximum protection, big throw.
Last week against Oregon, 11 catches, 106 yards, and a game-tying touchdown. Here's the handoff, Taylor, running right, pick up a couple.
How many lineman numbers do we see in the game for Stanford right now? Kyle Murphy's an extra offensive lineman coming in to go with a traditional heavy set to run the football. They love to bring the extra guys in. There's Yankee, their most versatile offensive lineman. I talk about hybrid players all the time. Guys who can do so many things. David Yankee's a hybrid offensive lineman. Starts at tackle, plays heavily at guard, can play tight end in their heavy set. Not anything he can't do, one of the most physical offensive linemen in the country.
Second down and 8 at the 20-yard line. Hogan over the middle. Ertz again. First down, Cardinals. As he gets to the 10-yard line, I like the decision-making from Kevin Hogan. He has really been spreading the football around, and he's been patient with it. He's waited to get Ertz involved.
How many redshirt freshmen do you and I know that can stay in the pocket like that when your first start of the season goes against a ranked team like Oregon State? So his starts of this year have all been ranked teams. Oregon State, Oregon, and Stanford. And his presence in the pocket, terrific.
Now he lines up as a wide receiver. Here's the Wildcat. Wilkerson, touchdown Stanford. Anthony Wilkerson, the junior from Foothill Ranch, California, gives Stanford a 13-7 lead.
Wildcat, flow goes left, and look at that as he ends up following right up into the gap. Number 76, Kevin Dancer, the offensive guard, who replaced the All-American and first-round pick David DeCastro, and has been dominant at times in the offensive line.
Jordan Williamson, the hero last week in Eugene, kicking the game-winning field goal in overtime. The extra point is good. Smash Mouth football, West Coast style. The head coach will take it. 14-7 Stanford. 14-7 Stanford. You know, this is the third straight week Stanford has faced a ranked team. Oregon State, Oregon, and now UCLA. And the first time in 5 years the Cardinal has had a stretch like this. Stanford has never beaten 3 ranked teams in 3 weeks in school history.
Just think, already this season they've beaten number 1 in the country and number 2 in the country in terms of the AP poll. This team is really putting together sustained excellence.
Kenneth Walker. And Walker gets to the 20-yard line before being taken down. Let's take a look at the Aflac trivia question. David Shaw won 11 games in his first season as a college head coach. Jim Mora has won 9. Who holds the record for wins in their first season? This is a tough one.
I don't know the answer. Is it okay if I guess?
No, you can't guess because you do know the answer.
I don't know the answer, but I have a suspicion.
I know, you're probably right.
I'd like to be for once.
First down and 10, Charles. Here's Jonathan Franklin.
Both of these teams' defensive fronts make it difficult to run the ball continuously. You look at the first 4 possessions, UCLA started out with a bang with the touchdown, but the last 3 having to punt the football.
Now out of the backfield is Franklin. Franklin breaking tackles. Yak.
And you saw something you don't see very often. Trent Murphy, number 93, out in open field with a position to make the tackle. Franklin slipped it and gained the additional yardage to make it 3rd and 5. It should have been a 3rd and 10 play. Franklin made something out of nothing.
3rd down 5 at the 26. Here's Huntley over the middle. Shaq Evans, the intended receiver, nothing doing. Terrence Brown breaks it up, and the Bruins have to punt it away with 7:36 to play in the second quarter.
And that young man's come a long way. Had a real tough Fiesta Bowl trying to guard Justin Blackman, Oklahoma State. To put it mildly, difficult evening.
Great experience.
Great experience, though, and really bounced back. Accepted the challenge in the spring and has been playing very well this season.
Terrell from the 25. Terrell with some running room. And he is finally tripped up at the 45. A 49-yard punt, a 19-yard return. Stanford in good shape with the ball, great field position, and the lead. 14-7 Cardinal on top of the Bruins. 7:23 to play here in the second quarter. Stanford now with the first down and 10 at their own 44-yard line. Last few plays, Kevin Hogan has been looking for his tight ends, especially Zach Ertz. Here's a play underneath, and it's Patterson. And Patterson will get inside Bruin territory. Let's answer the Aflac trivia question for you. David Shaw won 11 games in his first season as a college head coach. Jim Moore has won 9. Who holds the record for wins in their first season? Chris Peterson of Boise State, 13 and 06.
And that was the year they beat Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl with the big hook and ladder play and the Statue of Liberty and Ian Johnson's proposal to his girlfriend after it was all over.
Oh, Stephon Taylor down the sideline. Taylor, touchdown, Cardinal. And Stanford takes a 20-7 lead.
Look at this. Stanford always says, we don't care what the box count is, we'll run the ball. And look, when you have a box count like that, everyone's close. What's back here? No one. So if you pop it and there's a crease, then it's just a foot race. And Stephon Taylor won that.
Williamson in for the extra point. 49-yard run for Stephon Taylor. 13 carries, 87 yards and a touchdown. He has 8 100-yard games this year.
Gus, that last run, I just went back and watched it while we were in the break. They really ran that against a 9-man box, essentially. Really, you could have almost called it a 10. All 11 were within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage. And once there was a crease, he popped it big.
Williamson kicks the ball out of bounds.
Kickoff out of bounds by the kicking team. The ball is placed at the 35-yard line, first down.
Stephen Taylor in his career, he's just put up fantastic numbers.
I mean, he does it all because it's not just the running ability. It's the toughness he exhibits running the football. Last week at Oregon, in that win, carried it 33 times for 161 yards. He pass protects as well as any back in the country, maybe the best one. Can catch it out of the backfield. Remember the USC game and the screen pass he took? He does it all.
Jonathan Franklin, tackled by Shane Scove. Franklin trying to find some running room. It's been tough sledding thus far as he gains 3 there. 2 terrific Pac-12 running backs in action this evening in Pasadena. 2nd and 7 at the 38. And it's Franklin again.
It's been an interesting call here for Noel Mazzoni, the offensive coordinator. This is 3rd and short. And he and Jim Mora both like to preach toughness in running the football and being a physical run team. But that is a stout front for Stanford. Do you take the shot running it, or is this a pass down for Brett Hundley?
3rd down and 2 at the 43. Here's Hundley. Oh, on the wheel route, he's got his receiver. Incomplete. Flag on the play. Jordan James, if he could have held on to that football.
They had the play set, didn't they? Excellent call by Noel Mazzoni. They were unable to execute it.
Illegal shift on the offense. 2 men moving at the same time without setting. That penalty is declined. 4th down.
And look, ball just slightly behind, but catchable. James can't catch, and it would have come back anyway. Jim Morris said there's no correlation between penalties and winning. Done a 20-year study. But when you take a look at the problems that they've had tonight, those are the penalties that stop drives. That 1st down penalty, this penalty here, helped kill a drive.
This ball sent all the way into the end zone for a touchback, a 57-yard punt by Jeff Locke.
Oregon hoping, they still have a chance to get into the title game if Stanford loses.
1st down and 10 at the 20. And it's Stephen Taylor again, 4-yard gain.
Number 35 came off.
So Jordan Zumwalt, number 35, goes off. Gus, helmet came off. That rule this year has to miss a play. And he's been a terrific player for them this year. Started as an outside linebacker, moved him inside, and they moved Damian Holmes outside and found better fits for both of them on their defense.
2nd down and 7 at the 23. Hogan on the move. Fires on the run. Caught by Ertz at the 40. And the tight ends for Stanford over the years. Currently 6 in the NFL.
And this is why. These are guys who can block at the point of attack, and also they're move guys and can go in open field and catch it. And that last throw that was made by Kevin Hogan, to me, that was a confidence throw, partner. He had the short pass wide open to Ryan Hewitt. He took the longer version because he feels good about his ability to fit the ball in.
1st down and 10 at the 40. Here's a Wildcat. Wilkerson runs. And Wilkerson gained a couple. I remember a few years back, my former colleague Brent Jones, who I worked with doing NFL games, he took me to dinner. He said, I wanted you to come over to my buddy's house and have dinner. I'm going to introduce you to my tight end, this kid I'm working with. So we go over there. Who's the kid? Zach Ertz.
And if he's learning from Brent Jones, you're learning at an all-pro level. And Zach Ertz is having that type of a year. A finalist for the Mackey Award, which is the top tight end in the country.
2nd down and 8. Oh, the ball knocked away. And luckily, Stanford right there. Dayton Jones punched it out.
Stanford fortunate. Dayton Jones with the pass rush. Jones working inside. See him right there getting to the arm as he comes around on Kevin Dancer, number 76, but very alertly, Hogan jumps on the loose football.
3rd down and a long 15 for the Cardinal at the 35. Low snap handled by Hogan. Trying to set up a screen. Here's Taylor running outside, and he'll go out of bounds. Not enough for the first, so Stanford will be forced to punt it away.
That tells you how big of a play that was by Dayton Jones. When he knocks the ball away, Stanford doesn't get it downfield at all with a pass attempt. Puts them behind and down in distance and sets things up for a long third down. Now the ball has to be punted. Nice stand by UCLA on defense.
Fourth punt of the evening for Stanford. 3:13 to go. UCLA with 3 timeouts left. This would skip back. UCLA has it. Loose ball picked up at the 20-yard line. Marsh with the recovery on the bad snap. And the Bruins are in business.
And what UCLA has just done is stolen a possession in a sense, because they've stolen field position. They were getting the ball back, but with the low snap, Anthony Barr, who last week came off the field injured, and Eric Kendricks came in and blocked a punt in his stead, stays on the field here and knocks it free. And Cassius Marsh picks it up. And take a look at that. Jeff Ulbrich, linebacker, special teams coach, terrific, happy about what he just saw.
And I believe it's Zaklinski down the punter. He was tackled pretty hard by Barr.
And remember, Anthony Barr knocked Matt Barkley, the USC quarterback, out of the game last week. He won't play tonight against Notre Dame with a bad shoulder. So when Anthony Barr hits you, you're going to feel it. But 6 block punts in the previous 2 games, block kicks in the previous 2 games by UCLA special teams. Now add this tonight with a huge change of field position, knocking the ball free as Anthony Barr, Cassius Marsh picks it up, and now UCLA in scoring territory just outside the red zone.
Zaklinski walking off the field. Barr on the sideline.
That's a big momentum play there, Gus. Let's see if Noel Mazzoni wants to attack right away on first down with Brett Hundley's arm.
First down and 10 at the Stanford 22. Franklin. And UCLA determined to run the ball and turned away that time. Ben Gardner.
You did say it, determined. That's a great word for it, because that's exactly what they are. They do not want to just concede the run game and turn into a passing deal, as you see Zaklinski go to the locker room for medical attention.
Second down and 10 at the 22. Hundley steps up, stays on his feet. Hundley's got to let it go. Lost it as well as Ben Gardner finally gets into the backfield. 3rd sack of the day for Stanford.
I like your description, because that's the next part of the evolution of Brett Hundley. Getting rid of the football in the pocket under duress where no one's going to get it, no one's going to intercept it. UCLA started the night 4 or 5 on 3rd downs. They're 0-4 since then as we start 3rd and 18.
Here's Hundley. Shaq Evans! Incomplete.
Good roar, but I thought the coverage was excellent because the cornerback had him on his hip. Watch Tom Carter, 25. Watch him just ride Shaq Evans to the sideline. Really no place to come down with it. He didn't leave him room by positioning. A well-thrown football, but that would have been very difficult to come down inbounds, and then Ed Reynolds is there to ensure that he doesn't come down inbounds.
Now a decision being made by UCLA.
Now, you know, Kaime Fairbairn, their kicker,
is long on the season, 35 yards.
And so when you're thinking about what you're going to do with UCLA, you're not thinking about long-distance field goals with him.
Timeout call by UCLA. Kaime Fairbairn will attempt a 48-yarder, his season-long 35. He's 12 of 17 on the year. Coach Jim Mora looking for a breakthrough from this kid. And he may have it. How about that? Wow.
I think you nailed it, partner.
You gave it to me, partner.
Hey, listen, when you were saying looking for a breakthrough, you're exactly right. Down 21-7. They know they're going to play again next week. So now you know, Jim Moore stuck with Fairbairn all year long.
Yeah, he certainly has.
And he's saying, okay, let's try him out there. If this goes through the posts, we may have something to work with next week in the Pac-12 championship game. If it doesn't, he knows how he's got to call the game again.
Remember at the beginning of the season, the game at Rice,
just, you know,
extra points.
Couldn't kick one.
Couldn't kick one.
I mean, it was unbelievable. And now, how about that? Fairbairn will now walk on that sideline like he's Paul Bunyan. He's going to swell up and be 6'11", walk proud. His first field goal made over 35 yards this year. Congratulations to him.
In high school, he had a long of 55 yards.
Yeah, he ought to go hug his head coach. He stuck with him the whole way and kept showing confidence in it.
Locke will send it out of the end zone as usual. And Stanford will have it at the 25. First down and 10 of the 25. Here's Stephon Taylor. And Taylor wrestled down Anthony Barr with an MMA slam.
But they're not far away from breaking them big, are they?
Not at all.
UCLA playing a lot of people close to the line of scrimmage, trying to mug the line of scrimmage and shut down running lanes. They're finding them anyway.
Hogan throwing across his body, and he finds Taylor. Stephon Taylor gets to midfield with 1:13 to go. Stanford with 3 timeouts left.
Can you see how confident Kevin Hogan is slinging it right now? He's not worried about the little throws. He feels like he can slot in the big ones downfield.
Hogan handing it to Taylor. And Stephon Taylor to the 47, a 3-yard gain. Eric Kendricks with the tackle. And Stanford uses a timeout in this situation. They have 2 remaining. 52 seconds to go in the first half. Your impressions of this first half thus far?
I think that when we were talking about how it was being played, it started to be played as a defensive game first, meaning coaches looking for field position. Can our defenses stop people after the early rush where both offenses scored on their initial drives? And Stanford has taken charge now, able to run the football a little more effectively, and Kevin Hogan throwing the ball has been extremely accurate in the first half.
2nd and 7 at the 46. Hogan drops it off to Taylor, and Taylor will lose a couple of yards on the play as they try to set up the screen pass, and that's Andrew Abbott making the tackle with 38 seconds to go.
And remember, after the punt, mechanics were messed up, and UCLA had 1st and 10 on the 21-22-yard line. Stanford held them to a field goal. Defense is imposing their will at times in this game.
3rd down and 8 at the 47. Hogan again in trouble. Hogan sacked. Beautiful job by Damian Holmes. UCLA pinning their ears back and dropping the young quarterback.
And after the made field goal by Fairbairn, how about UCLA holding Stanford without points on their last drive heading to the half?
It's halftime here at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena with the score Stanford 21, UCLA 10. (21-10) Stanford on top of UCLA as we prepare to start the second half. Gus Johnson along with Charles Davis, partner, your thoughts on the first half?
Well, I thought after an early rush where both offenses dominated and both went downfield and scored in their first drive, defenses started to dictate things a bit. And UCLA, I thought, did a nice job early in run defense. Not many places for Stanford to go. But when you're running 8 and 9 guys in the box, Stanford doesn't mind that box count. And when they start to find a crease, then you have Stephon Taylor with no safety back, taking it to the house and giving Stanford the advantage. A big play here for UCLA as Anthony Barr tackles Daniel Zaklinski and creates a turnover. But guess what? It only resulted in 3 points for UCLA after 1st and 10 at the 22-yard line.
So UCLA will receive to start the second half. Down 21-10. And this one out of the end zone. Now let's go downstairs to Julie Alexandria.
Hey guys, I just spoke to Coach Mora as he was coming back, and he said right now we have to play with urgency and efficiency because at this moment we're just not. And I just heard from a trainer that Zaklinski's return is highly unlikely in this game. Guys?
All right, thank you very much, Julie.
Well, if Zaklinski can't punt, they have to turn to the backup, and we'll see who that turns out to be. It could be Ben Ryan.
All right, let's take a look at the Ford statistical comparison.
When you look at the rush yards, Stanford, after a slow start, UCLA doing a nice job in run defense, found a way to create yardage, and Stephon Taylor, with that big sprint to the end zone against a stacked box, created that yardage for them.
From the 25, Hundley underneath, and it's Jerry Johnson close to the first down. He'll gain 9. UCLA quickly to the line of scrimmage. Hundley, 7 of 15, 140 yards and a touchdown. And they'll run the ball. Jonathan Franklin breaks through and picks up the first down. He almost popped that one, Charles.
He did. That was similar to the run of Stephon Taylor with so many guys at the line of scrimmage. Derek Mason, defense coordinator, brought a run blitz on that play, and he was one step away from going for big yardage.
Henry Anderson, David Parry stops him. First down, though, for the Bruins. And this time it's Franklin. Franklin outside, first down and even more. And a flag, though, back at the 39. This may come back.
Holding, offense, number 72. 10-yard penalty, first down.
So that's Alberto Sid, a backup offensive lineman in the game for UCLA. That run negated. Let's take a look. Right there. Sid working on Trent Murphy, 93. Got his hands a little outside of the frame of the body of the defensive player and the official, the referee. In this case, Jack Folliard caught him.
So it negates an 18-yard pickup. First down and 19 at the 27. Hundley out of the backfield looking for Jordan James. The second ball Jordan James dropped this evening.
What Stanford does on defense is they make you go the long way all the time. Scoring drives against Stanford average about 9 plays in order to get there. All right, they've only given up 1 drive this year of 3 plays or less. When you run that many plays, errors tend to happen.
Second down and 19, and picked up close to a first down in heavy traffic as Hundley had time to throw the football. And that was caught by Devin Fuller, the freshman from New Jersey.
And you nailed it. Pass protection, excellent for Brett Hundley to have a chance to find a target downfield.
And Jonathan Franklin first down. We had a chance to catch up with Devin Fuller's mom yesterday at a restaurant here in Pasadena. She's a backup singer for Bruce Springsteen. She sang for some of the big names all over the world. First down and 10 at the 47. And a 2-yard gain. Also, she's got a 14-year-old kid that's already been offered a scholarship to play football at Rutgers.
So with that being said, everybody else, you better get in there if you want him.
recruited as a QB. 2nd and 9 at the 48.
Yeah, he came to UCLA thinking he'd be the next Michael Vick, but they needed him to play receiver right now.
Hundley out of the backfield. Franklin, wow, violent hitting, nicely done by Terrence Brown as he wrapped up, delivered a blow. It's a 2-yard gain.
And that was a part of his game that the defensive staff at Stanford told him he needed to work on. He needed to become a better tackler. Took it to heart and has been a consistent tackler all season long. Another 3rd down for UCLA, 50% for the evening.
We need 7 yards at midfield. Red Hundley, sideline, incomplete. Shaq Evans, ball thrown behind him, and Evans unable to grab it. They'll be forced to punt.
That didn't look like where Brett Hundley was throwing it, that Shaq Evans thought that's where it was coming. You know, Shaq Evans had something else in mind than the throw that Brett Hundley made. Weren't quite connected on that play.
Jeff Locke from the 35 hangs this one high in the air. Terrific job. And fair caught at the 21. A 29-yard punt. Great hang time. It's one of the things Locke has been working on. And welcome back to the Rose Bowl here in Pasadena. Kevin Hogan in the first half, 11 of 16, 113 yards, a touchdown. He was sacked twice. Stephon Taylor, 100 yards rushing, the 21st 100-yard game for Taylor, a school record, passing Toby Gerhardt. First down. Hogan, bootleg, drops it off. Hewitt with a first down, and he'll go out of bounds close to the 40-yard line. Sheldon Price there to usher him out of bounds. They'll mark it at the 36.
How about how they manufacture plays? Look, this is everyone, all right, uptight, okay? Heavy run play. And what do? They turn into they run into a 3-level sideline route where they hit Hewitt on the shortest route. Ertz was the next level, then Toyolo was deeper than that. Everything off of a heavy run look.
They'll hand it off, Wilkerson. And a 1-yard pickup as he's written down hard, Barr in on it again. So much balance on this David Shaw coach Stanford Cardinal team.
And what he wants to do is establish that physicality first and foremost with his team. You know, a lot of guys who are former players, you would think that that's what they adopt as a persona. David Shaw was a wide receiver. You would think we'd see more spread out, wide open passing plays. He calls the game like he's a former offensive lineman.
2nd and 9 at the 38. Hogan delivers, and Zach Ertz wrestled down by Aaron Kendricks. Tell you what, these UCLA jerseys are hard to read sometimes, Charles.
The only thing I would add,
Hard to see them.
because this is a tribute, this uniform's a tribute to the Jackie Robinson teams, Kenny Washington teams back in the day. Gold letters. That's all we ask. Go gold letters.
For 2 old announcers.
Gold letters, gold numerals, we're good.
3rd down and 6 at the 41. Low snap. Hogan in trouble, and he'll dump it. Good decision by the quarterback.
He's up 21-10, and his defense is playing the game very well. Don't make a mistake to hand field position or a big play to UCLA's defense. Nice poise for the redshirt freshman from Gonzaga Prep near Washington, D.C.
So here's something to pay attention to. Now Ben Ryan comes in to punt for Daniel Zaklinski. He's never punted in a college game, but was all-state in North Carolina his senior year. Gets it away, picked up Shaq Evans. And Shaq Evans is stopped at the 25. Just a beautiful night, a beautiful day as well here in Pasadena. 10-11 to play, 3rd quarter, UCLA taking over. As you take a look at their offensive leaders, Hundley's numbers. Franklin looks close to being able to break one.
One good one was called back on a holding penalty. Shaq Evans been their leading receiver. I want to see if UCLA wants to try and push the ball downfield a little bit more now.
Hundley looking, incomplete. Jerry Johnson, the intended receiver, almost a one-handed grab for Jerry. But here's the question, Charles, as you take another look.
That would have been a spectacular catch because he sees the defensive back, Devin Carrington, coming at him. I think his concentration went a little bit there.
2nd and 10, nothing for James. But here's a question. If you're UCLA and there's a chance that you have to play Stanford next week at Stanford in the Pac-12 championship, do you show everything? Do you?
You know, I like where you're going with that because I think it's an interesting dilemma for Jim Mora. I think the way he's preached in his first year to his team that you never take a play off or a down off or a series off, that he'll try and play this game, play to win this game all the way through.
Over the middle, almost intercepted, and intercepted by the Cardinal. Out of nowhere, that's Jordan Richards. The 22nd straight game in which Stanford has forced a turnover. 4th longest active streak in the nation.
Hundley down the middle, throws it behind his intended receiver, and Richards, look at that catch. You know what that shades of right there? Tell me that's not David Tyree in the Super Bowl against Rodney Harrison. Ball, hand, helmet, catch results.
So Stanford takes over at the 42. Stephon Taylor with running room. Gets outside. Taylor turns on the juice. And out of bounds inside the 5.
Listen, they don't care about box count, do they? Look at that. Okay? And guess what? They're going to run it anyway. They don't worry about that. They press the run. Look at Yankee 54 out front. And then Taylor with nice moves, good vision, and gets outside. 10 people in the box, Stanford undaunted.
First down and goal of the UCLA 2 after the 40-yard run. Taylor, the deep man in the eye. Hewitt, the up back. Here's Stephon. And he will not get in. Stephon Taylor stopped short of the goal line.
You remember at Notre Dame, they had a goal-to-goal situation, and they ran it 4 straight times and didn't get in. Disputed call at the end, did he or didn't he? I thought maybe he got in on 2nd down and they didn't count it. 4th down, they said his momentum was stopped, didn't get in. Will Stanford try and do that if they have to go 4 downs and try and do that again?
At the 1, Taylor again. And Taylor will not get in. Looks like Barr was there. UCLA putting up a stand.
See, and I don't think Stanford's thinking field goal here. I think they're in 4-down territory unless they get a lost yardage play on this one. And as you called, partner, Barr stands him up and holds him short of the goal line. If you throw the ball, this is the down for Stanford. I do believe they're thinking 4 downs, though, to try and get 6.
3rd down and goal at the 1. Hewitt and Taylor. 2 tight ends. Taylor again. This time, touchdown Cardinal. His 2nd of the day.
And they went heavy up front. You saw 96 in motion. That's Dylan Bunnell, normally an offensive guard, wearing a tight end's number so that he's eligible when he comes into the game, helping lead the charge with that massive offensive line. And they pounded in for another score.
So with 7:41 to play in the 3rd quarter, Stanford takes a 28-10 lead. All right, let's take a look at this week's social poll on Facebook when the fans were asked which Pac-12 coaches had the most impressive year. And wow, 54% saying Chip Kelly. That's kind of interesting, especially when you consider David Shaw beat Chip Kelly, and with a win today, has a chance to go and play in the Pac-12 championship at home. Jim Mora also winning the South. He beat the #1 and #2 teams in the nation, 4-2 against Notre Dame, Oregon, and USC. 2-1 in 2011, 2-1 in 2012. Interesting.
Remember, everybody gets to determine what they think impressive means.
Walker dropped it. Stanford has a football. Running. Stanford. Touchdown. I'm on him. Uswe Amanum picks up the fumble. A 10-yard return for a touchdown. Alex Debniak with the tackle. He put his head on the football.
That was perfect form, wasn't it? Just as you're taught. And then Uswa Amanum, who's played so well as their nickelback this year, on the spot, carries it into the end zone. Another big play for Stanford, this time in the kicking game.
Jim Mora not a happy man. David Shaw, different story. His team just doing a great job at UCLA. 35-10, Stanford extending their lead with 7:28 to go. Now January 1st, 72 with Michigan ahead 10-3 in the fourth quarter. Jackie Brown ran 24 yards. The game-tied TD then with 12 seconds to go. Rod Garcia kicked a 31-yard field goal to give Stanford a 13-12 upset win. That was Stanford's last Rose Bowl victory in 1972.
They won the previous year with Jim Plunkett as the quarterback. Don Bunce the next year was a surprise. That's when they won again.
Fuller from the goal line. Devin Fuller. And Fuller out of bounds. And he gets close to the 40, a 36-yard return. And you know, a lot at stake. The Pac-12 championship game will be played next week.
And Stanford, if they close out this game, they host UCLA next week. UCLA knows they're playing. If somehow they come back and win this game, then they head to Oregon to play the Ducks, who we know are eagerly watching this game, hoping to see UCLA rally.
Hundley, here's a draw play to Jonathan Franklin. And Franklin will pick up the first down. Flag on the play, though, back at the 32.
Holding, offense number 54. The 10-yard penalty, first down.
And we all thought that game would be one USC would be playing for a possible national title berth.
And Franklin, not much over the right side. Maybe a yard. Henry Anderson with the tackle.
You have those kind of penalties on first down and put yourself so far behind and you have to make your changes in your play calling, in your approach. And the run defense of Stanford and the overall defense of Stanford really starts to take hold in long yardage situations.
Hundley needs to get rid of it. He'll eat the sack. Fourth time he's been sacked tonight. A.J. Tarpley getting through.
And why does the pressure work? Take a look at our three boxes. Look at the coverage in box to the upper left and to your upper right. Where does he going to go with the football, which allows the pass rush in the middle to get to him and envelop him?
Stanford ranks second in the nation in sacks, averaging 4 a game. They have 4 in this game. Hundley again. And Devin Fuller with the catch. I'll tell you what, though, Charles, just what Stanford has been able to do. They have shut it down on UCLA, and these kids, you know they're tough, you know they're physical, but I'm very surprised. They're pretty smart as well. They all know where they're supposed to be.
They do, and they're also awfully athletic. That's one of the things that gets overlooked about this Stanford defense. They do everything you just described very well, and then they make plays as terrific athletes.
Nelson gets to the 20, a 56-yard punt and a 5-yard return.
Working the Cowboys watching Redskins game for Fox, she does it all.
Here's a handoff. Young around the corner, and Young. A flag thrown on the far side, back at the 23. Tevin McDonald eventually with the tackle.
Holding offense, number 21. 10-yard penalty, first down.
And that's Patterson. First penalty of the evening for Stanford. Wow.
And that's the first thing he's done wrong in a while. He had the 2 drops early, and then he bounced back with a couple of nice catches, which was nice to see for the young man and his confidence, because they really need him to continue to stretch the field out there trying to block to help his running game, which is something Stanford receivers do a very nice job of.
First down and a long 16 at the 14. Anthony Wilkerson in the backfield with Hewitt lined up as an H-back. They fake the pitch, run left, Wilkerson. Going down, Jordan Zumwalt, the bottom of the pile for UCLA. So anyway, getting back to what we were talking about a little earlier. If you're Jim Mora, do you show your full hand knowing, especially at this point, with the score 35-10, do you show your full hand knowing that next week you can play this team again?
I think you do in terms of this, Gus. He's preached to this team that we're taking nothing off, nothing for granted, and we never give up on anything. If he tucks his horns in now and says, okay, let's go vanilla, he's telling his team a different message than he's been preaching since he got to UCLA, and I don't think Jim Mora is going to do that.
2nd and 12 of the 18. Hogan elects to run it, and Hogan picks up a nice chunk. He'll gain 9 as Eric Kendricks comes up with the tackle. So that brings up 3rd down and 3.
So Dayton Jones had to go off the field. His headgear came off. He'll be replaced for this play.
Third down and 3 at the 27. Odigizua replaces Dayton Jones. Hogan over the middle, incomplete. Ball intended for Ty Montgomery. First time we've mentioned his name, and he takes his eyes off the football. Stanford will punt.
Good defensive series for UCLA, getting off the field on 3rd down.
So now Ben Ryan, who comes back in for Daniel Zaklinski, second punt of his career, 42 yards on the first. Angles this one toward the sideline. First down and 10 at the 35. Hundley. And Hundley, nobody open, will run. Hundley up the sideline. Hundley with room and goes out of bounds. A 38-yard run for Brett Hundley. You'd like to see him do this a little more.
And Jim Mora has been encouraging it. And what's interesting is that Brett Hundley began this season doing what? First play of his college career.
Touchdown at Rice.
72 yards on a run. That's more of what they want to see. They know they're not going to get 72 every time, but what a pressure relief when he's able to run the ball in the face of a blitz or a good pass rush. And the evolution of the kid, the continued growth of him, we're seeing it tonight. We're seeing what's going to be on the checklist for Noel Mazzoni. First and foremost, I think, is how does he get rid of the football in the face of pressure and not take so many sacks? Because right now they're happy that he can use his legs. They actually want him to do more of that. But the next step, not losing yardage and taking the sack.
2nd and 9. Man, he put that in the keyhole over the middle. Fourier. We haven't heard from him since the first half.
And look to the left of your screen, Fourier working inside, and a really nice throw. You talk about the keyhole? That's in between 3 Stanford Cardinal defenders as he throws it into the gap for Fourier for the completion.
First down at the 12. Franklin. And Franklin will get a half yard on the play. Nice pursuit by Henry Anderson. May have been some confusion in the backfield of the Bruins.
You don't get much easy against Stanford, do you?
Nothing.
I mean, they make you drive it. We talked about earlier about 9 plays on average for touchdown drives for teams. They don't give up very much cheap. Only one game this year where they've given up a drive of 3 plays or less, and that was against Oregon last week. They make you earn it. Look at this formation.
2nd and 9. Jonathan Franklin stays on his feet. Touchdown, Bruins. A flag on the play.
And another flag just came down. Now we got an additional one. And that run was made on effort by Jonathan Franklin. Now let's see if it stands.
The touchdown is good. We will have penalties.
As the officials try to sort it out. 1:53 to play in the third.
Jack Fuller, he didn't want to bury the lead, did he? He wanted to make sure everybody knew the touchdown would stand for the UCLA fans.
After the touchdown, personal foul on the offense, number 60. Also, unsportsmanlike conduct on the offense, number 60.
That's Jeff Baca.
Now, he had 3 penalties last week against USC. So watch the end of the play. This is Baca, 60, coming into the play. Touchdowns made. There's the late block on David Perry, number 58. That's the first flag. The second flag happened as he was going to the sideline, and I thought I don't know if he said something or what was going on, but an official pulled his flag out and turned around and dropped it kind of at the feet of Baca. So maybe he said something on the way off the field to get the unsportsmanlike conduct.
Unsportsmanlike conduct on the defense will be assessed on the try. Personal foul on the defense will be assessed on the kickoff.
And I think he meant offense because he said defense there. But those penalties were both against UCLA, who was on offense at the time, because they're marching it off against UCLA.
So Kaimi Fairbairn will kick this one. Ball spotted at the 26, so a 36-yard extra point. And it's good. Jackson Cummings back deep along with Wright. Come up to field it at the 15 and fumbled out of bounds by Wright. Next year starts today.
It starts today for Max Whittick. Carried over into the bowl game and then spring practice.
First down to the 19-yard line. Wilkerson. A lot of time left in this football game. 1:43 to go in the third. Damian Holmes with the stop.
Just think of how many people out there have so many hopes about if Notre Dame loses, other teams now have a chance to get back in it. If you're not an SEC fan, you probably don't want Notre Dame to lose, because if they lose, Alabama, Georgia, SEC title game, Florida could move up. You could have another SEC championship game.
Play fake. Hogan rolling out across his body. Nice throw. A good catch. Tuilolo, the redshirt junior, with the grab.
Partner, would you call me wrong if I said Kevin Hogan isn't throwing the ball right now? He's slinging it.
He's slinging it.
I mean, he is throwing with confidence. That's rolling away from his natural side, throwing back inside as a right-handed thrower on the money.
Talking to Pep Hamilton, it's almost like he was below the radar.
They said that his recruiting was really regional. Virginia, Duke, back in the area, back from the Washington, D.C. area for him.
There's a handoff. Remember, Pep Hamilton played his football at Howard University in Washington, D.C., coached with the Redskins briefly, so a lot of ties in that area. East Coast, North Carolina.
You know what else they said? When they watched his game film, they felt like almost every game they popped on, it was raining and it was muddy, and the kid never slipped and slid. He handled the football well. If you were in horse racing and you had a mutter like that, you're in business.
2nd and 5 at the 38. Wilkerson. Flag. Wilkerson will not get the first down on the run. And let's see what the flag is. Eric Kendricks defensively for the Bruins.
Illegal motion on the offense. Number 96 was in motion toward the line of scrimmage. That's a 5-yard penalty.
And that's Dylan Bunnell, who's an offensive guard, but they keep putting him in the backfield and then using him in motion. Bunnell's right up here. Watch him go laterally in motion. And then he takes the jump up. See, he's not set for the full second. See, he never gets firmly set. You have to be set for a full second to reestablish yourself at the line of scrimmage.
That takes us to the end of the third quarter with the score: Stanford 35, UCLA 17. Back to the Rose Bowl after this. Welcome back.
We want some more. 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 We want some more.
And the Cardinal will tell the Bruins with pleasure. Second down and 11.
Well, remember the Titans moment there, wasn't it?
Yeah. UCLA saying they want some more. Let's see if the Cardinal can give it to him. Here's Wilkerson. And Wilkerson. Eric Kendricks first man to him. Stephon Taylor has been out of the lineup in the last 2 series for Stanford.
And barring injury, which we haven't gotten a report on, I think they're just resting him. I think they're looking at the scoreboard, fourth quarter up 35-17. High volume of carries for the season. We see Taylor right there in our foreground. 142 yards on the night. Guess what? They win this game. We have to do this again next week. So as long as the score stays in their favor in this advantage, I wouldn't be surprised if they rest him some more.
And it'll be a short week. Pac-12 championship game on Friday. 3rd and 9 at the 34. Hogan. Intercepted and a flag at the 40. Picked off by Zumwalt.
And that came from deep in the secondary. It came from the back judge. That might wipe something out.
Holding on the defense, number 35. That's a 10-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
And that's again Zumwalt who made the play on the football for the interception. The first mistake we've seen from Hogan tonight, but right here is Zumwalt. See, he's got cloth. All right, he had Toyolo's jersey right here and freeze. Look at that. Excellent view by the back judge on the play, John Jenkins, who caught the cloth being grabbed by Jordan Zumwalt, negating the interception.
So first down for Stanford at the 44. Wilkerson remains in the game. And Kendricks plugging up the hole. And Eric Kendricks' helmet coming off, so he'll have to step off the field for one play.
And what you're concerned about is he's not jogging off the field. So if I'm the medical staff, I get right there at Kendricks and check on him. Because he walked all the way off the field. And that's not normal for a guy of Eric Kendricks' stature and hustle.
Second and 8 at the 46 for Kevin Hogan. Wilkerson breaks the initial tackle and gets to midfield. 4-yard gain will bring up 3rd down and 4. Cassius Marsh there defensively.
Let's go back and see if we can determine what happened to Eric Kendricks. Play is ending. Wilkerson's tackled, and he gets it from his own teammate, Sayali Epinesa, with the forearm to the helmet of Eric Kendricks, knocking it off and knocking his head into the turf.
Epinesa, 6'1", 310. 3rd and 4. Kendricks back. Hogan lines up. Ertz, first down at the 35. A 16-yard gain for Zach Ertz. Sheldon Price knocks him out of bounds.
How about the pass protection? Watch these guys here and what they do for Kevin Hogan. What it does is it allows him to do what? Pump, pat it, and then deliver it out wide to Zach Ertz. Nice looking throw, but compliment those big fellas up front. Well, they call themselves the Tunnel Workers Union. The offensive line of Stanford. Pep Hamilton called them the Tons of Fun. Whatever you call them skills.
5 catches, 71 yards for Ertz. Wilkerson. I remember earlier in the season when we saw Stanford take on USC in Palo Alto, and we went into Pep Hamilton's office and Coach Shaw's office, and they kept talking about body shots. We're going to go to the body, and then the head will fall. Well, when you look at Stanford play on both sides of the ball, they just really just wear you down. They grind you down. They out-physical you to the point where, to use an MMA term, they can make you tap out if you're not careful.
They make you question whether you want to keep doing this.
Do you really want to keep playing?
That's how they go at it. It's what you talk about. They invest in the body blows in hopes that at the end, they've got the advantage. And tonight, they're holding it so far.
And a fumble. Wilkerson lost it. And UCLA, you can tell by the emotion, they didn't jump on the football. Great opportunity there.
It's a second opportunity for UCLA now. Right there, that's the play made by Aaron Wallace, number 12. Backup linebacker knocks it free. And look who comes up with it, offensive lineman for Stanford. Was that Andres Pete,
yes.
Number 70?
Yes.
And it wasn't just Wallace, it was Kendricks, number 6, with a big paw going in and ripping it free. That's twice now they've knocked it free. Once by Dayton Jones, but unable to come up with the football.
3rd down and 5 to the 29. Right this time. And he doesn't get back to the line of scrimmage, so that brings up a 4th down.
And I think David Shaw is going to think about whether he wants to kick the field goal here or go for it on 4th down.
Looks like they'll attempt the field goal with Jordan Williamson. Jordan Williamson last week against Oregon. He hit the game-winning 37-yard field goal in overtime, allowing him some measure of redemption. This one from 46 yards away. Off the front rim.
And he kicked the ground first, partner. It's like he chili dipped his golf shot. His foot hit the ground before it hit the football.
And you could hear it all the way up here. And it left a mark. 35-17, and Williamson.
See the turf? That's it. For golfers who play to a 2 or a 3, you don't understand that. But most of us who play to a 15 or a 16 and beyond, that chili dip hitting the ground before you hit the ball took the momentum off of the kick for Williamson, and he just still barely missed it.
Jordan coming off such a high with the game winner last week against Oregon. Here's Hundley, steps up, throws on the run, and Shaq Evans with the catch. Remember, Williamson missed 2 field goals in Stanford's 3-point loss to Oklahoma State in the Fiesta Bowl last January. The players in the Stanford locker room chanting his name after the game. So, 2nd down and 6 at the 33. Jonathan Franklin.
And he handled that failure the way we all shouldn't we? Wore the Fiesta Bowl hat out in public, just met it head on. I'm going to go out and conquer this thing, and got, as you mentioned, a measure of redemption last week against Oregon.
Hundley drops it off. Franklin, and Franklin goes down. I'll tell you what, Terrence Brown has been wonderful this year.
And he's played to that level tonight. They kept talking, we talked about what was supposed to be the weakest link of the Stanford defense, supposed to be the secondary. Terrence Brown, Alex Carter on the corner have helped shore things up, and they played well this evening.
UCLA going for it on 4th down and 2. 8:33 to play in the 4th. Hundley. And the ball caught by Jerry Johnson. And that's a first down for the Bruins.
He got things off to a nice start last week. Jerry Johnson did 4 catches in the first quarter, helping him establish things against USC.
From the 42. Hundley again. Elects not to run it. And Shane Scholes all over the receiver, Jordan James.
Coverage was excellent downfield. He had to check it. He ended up having to check that one down. He wanted to push it deep. Nothing there. Looked the second time. Nothing there. As you mentioned, chose not to run the ball. Checked it down for a short gain.
Hundley again. Flag on the play. Fourier the reception. A.J. Tarpley with the tackle. What, Charles, has this Stanford defense taken away after the call?
Personal foul on the defense. Hands to the face.
What have they taken away?
The big runs, the explosive runs for
15-yard
UCLA.
penalty, first down.
Jonathan Franklin unable to get there. Made it tough on him. You know, he's got 65 yards in the game, but he's only averaging 3 yards a carry, 21 carries. Good volume, but not the same production. And if you can't get that, that makes it a lot tougher on you. Now you put yourself in the second, third and long, which allows the excellent pass rushers of Stanford to take hold.
Cardinal did the same thing to Kenyon Barner last week.
Shut him down, limited him, and tackled so well. Not many missed.
Hundley up the sideline, incomplete. Intended for Jordan Payton.
That's the thing about Stanford. When they do miss a tackle, they actually do it the right way. I remember someone said one time, you know, I know I was doing the wrong thing by trying to do it the right way. So what it means is you spill plays to where your help is. If I'm going to miss a tackle, miss it at the proper angle, miss it outside in where you know your help's going to be. Stanford does that very well.
Incomplete pass. Joseph Fourier, the intended receiver, and that will bring up a third down and 10 yards to go.
And look at this. Look at what they've done in limiting UCLA in terms of total offense so far in this game. Came in leading the Pac-12. I mean, that's the average for the Pac-12 right there. 288 tonight.
Third down and 10 at the 38. Hundley. And he'll be sacked once again. 5th time tonight. Chase Thomas again.
When you just look at in total, the linebackers of Stanford, Chase Thomas 44, Trent Murphy 93 outside. Inside, Shane Scove 11, A.J. Tarpley 17, Jarek Lancaster 35 will get some time. James Vaughters has been a starter, number 9. Hybrid guys who can do everything you want on a field, and they do it well.
4th down and 17 at the 45. Hundley delivers and incomplete. Jerry Johnson, the intended receiver, so the Bruins will turn it over on downs. 6:40 to play, 4th quarter. Stanford 35, UCLA 17. 35-17, the Stanford Cardinal leading the Bruins of UCLA with 6:40 to play here in the 4th quarter. Across town, there's a pretty good one going on as well. Notre Dame, #1 team in the nation, playing SC.
Got a few implications in that game, don't we?
No doubt about it.
A lot of people want to know how that one turns out.
Stay with us, folks.
Please. And these two, right? Chance to do this again next week.
There is a possibility. First down and 10 at the 45. And Wright running over the right side. 2nd down and 6 at the 49. Wright with an opening. Wright, 10-yard line, and finally down at the 5. But a flag on the play. Eric Kendricks tracked him down.
Holding offense, 78. 10-yard penalty, second down.
Ramon Wright We'll see this one come all the way back.
That's Kyle Murphy, one of the touted freshman offensive linemen who's played so well as a true freshman for Stanford. Kyle Murphy, Joshua Garnett, Andres Pete, all have contributed as true freshmen and well. Let's take a look inside. There's Murphy right behind. He'll be right in there with a takedown on Odighizuwa. And that's what was called by Jack Follier, the referee.
Second and 16 at the 39. Wilkerson. Tough sledding.
And as well as Stanford has played tonight and controlled this game, if they're going to do this again next week, I'm pretty much ready to guarantee UCLA will be ready to play.
They'll be a different team next week.
They came in this game on a 5-game win streak, right? Remember they had that game at Cal where they were bad. Cal jumped on them. And then from that point, they picked things up and really came along. No way Jim Moore lets this team just continue to stay down for the week. They'll be back ready to play in the Pac-12 championship game. They lost to Cal, then they went and beat Utah, got a bye, beat Arizona State, beat Arizona 66-10. Washington State 44-36, but don't be fooled by that score. They were 44-14 at one point in that game. And then controlled and handled USC last week to get to this point.
Third down and 14 at the 41. Wright remains in the game and runs it over the right side. And he'll push the pile forward as he crosses the 45 up to about the 47, but Stanford will punt it away. And when you look at Stanford and what's happened to them, only 2 losses on the season. They lost at Washington 17-13, and then there was the loss to Notre Dame. And 20-13, controversial ending to that ball game.
Did he score? Did he not? A lot of people talk about second down where it looked like he scored. They didn't give it to him. But in both of those games, and with a win tonight, it'd be their 3rd straight season beating USC, UCLA, and Cal, which would make them state champs of California. But part of the problem they had, and a big part, was offense. You know, in the games against Washington and Notre Dame, they didn't get an offensive touchdown. They scored on defense in both of those games, touchdowns, which helped prompt the move from Josh Nunes at quarterback to Kevin Hogan full-time after the Colorado game.
Shaq Evans from the 15. Evans up to the 35 and out of bounds. Huntley sacked again for the 6th time. This time it's David Parry.
And that's the nose guard getting the penetration. Normally a backup starting tonight with Terrence Stevens, their normal starter, at home in Palo Alto attending to personal matters. Perry's played a very nice game tonight, and look at Stanford on defense, limiting UCLA throughout the evening.
On 2nd and 15. Here's a screen. James. And James over the 40 up to about the 43. Huntley going down the field, that flag, Shaq Evans, the intended receiver. Wayne Lyons may have got caught.
Watch Lyons too, he's got the play, he sees the ball, he sees the receiver, and he just tripped when he stumbled.
Pass interference, defense number 2, 15-yard penalty, 1st down.
When he stumbled, he went into the receiver, Shaq Evans, and created the personal foul. Excuse me, created the pass interference.
So Evans off the field, a 1st down now at the Stanford 42 for UCLA. Stephen Manfro in the game at running back. Manfro's been plagued by a knee injury, and they deliver to Jordan Payton. Stanford, though, keeping everything in front of them. Very difficult for UCLA to get behind this Stanford defense.
And while they do that, what else is happening? Tick, tick, tick. Exactly what Stanford wants. Let the clock bleed down.
Hundley again. And Hundley gobbled up. 7 sacks. This time it's Kevin Anderson.
You know, the Stanford came into this game aggregate 101 tackles for loss. That's sacks, plays behind the line of scrimmage, with so many different people contributing.
3rd down 9 at the 41. And Hundley finds Manfro. And Manfro knocked backwards, a flag on the play.
Penalty marker on the field. Pass is complete. Stephen Manfro on the reception.
That was some tackle. I thought Manfro was going to easily have the 1st down.
Blocked in the back on the offense, number 10. It's a 10-yard penalty, 3rd down.
There's Jordan Payton with the penalty called against him, the freshman wide receiver. Look at the end of the play. There's the block by Payton, but the tackle was being made as he made the block.
So it brings up a 3rd down and 11 at the 43. Here come the Bruins. Over the middle. Nice catch, Fourier. He put it on the top shelf again, and this time it's a gain of 24.
And he wouldn't let the kids get it, because the kids were trying.
Yes, they were.
Right, they looked like they had concocted an elaborate scheme, put a couple chairs up there, trying to get those cookies that Mama said you can't have before dinner, and Fourier wouldn't let them have them. Went up and took the ball.
Brett Hundley looking, drops it off, and a little too much on it for Stephen Manfro.
Watch how Fourier competes for the football, because Amanum 15's right there fighting him for it, but Fourier decided it was his and went up and took it.
Fourier, 3 catches, 51 yards, including the touchdown on their opening drive. He's in the slot. 2nd and 10 of the 19. Hundley underneath to Shaq Evans. And Evans with the grab with a flag on the play on the far side. Wayne Lyons
Holding
defensively.
on the offense, number 54.
Redshirt freshman
10-yard
center
penalty, 2nd down.
Jake Brendel.
Play is held by 10-yard penalty against the Bruins.
Yeah, he's a Texan. On the other side, Sam Schwartzstein
2nd down.
is a Texan playing center for Stanford. Tough, gritty guys, smart handling the line calls, but that time Jake Brendel gets caught with the holding penalty.
12 penalties, 135 yards against the Bruins. This one over the middle. Hundley once again finding Fourier, as Joseph Fourier has to be helped up. Under 3 minutes to play here in the 4th.
But you're seeing a characteristic of a Jim Mora team, aren't you?
They're fighting.
They're going to fight it. They're going to play it all the way out.
Hundley under pressure. This time he'll get it away. He's got to do more of that, especially next week. Josh Morrow in the backfield along with Harold Bernard. Applying pressure.
Just think of how many guys on this drive alone, different guys you've called putting pressure on the quarterback. Whether they make the play or not, you've called a number of different players making plays for Stanford.
4th down and 5 at the 14. Hundley underneath, incomplete. Wow. And they'll turn it over on downs. Darius Bell, the intended receiver. So Stanford with the football, 2:30 to play in the fourth, leading it 35-17.
Bell hasn't played a lot lately. He's getting some counseling there from Eric Yarber, one of the top wide receivers coaches in the country. And he took his eyes off it, saw Carrington, number 5, approaching. Unable to haul it in. Bell's missed time with broken ribs, separated shoulder. Actually overslept one day and missed practice, so they held him out for another game after he was healthy. And he had an ankle injury, so it's been tough for him to get as much practice time and focus, I think, as he's needed. Hopefully he'll get a good weekend this week.
So Hogan back on the field, first down. Looks like he is prepared to try to run this one out. He'll hand it off right, over the right side. With 2:19 to go. So all in all, this one pretty close at the beginning. Each team scoring on their opening drive, but in the end, Stanford pounding it on the ground defensively, tackling extremely well, and putting major pressure on the quarterback, playing good special teams to boot.
You talked about them investing in body blows. Offense, defense, turned out to be special teams too. And that investment has paid off with a victory tonight. But they'll have to do it again next week from their home field in Palo Alto against the same UCLA team who had its pride stung a bit tonight, and we know we'll bounce back and fight.
And now let's take a look at this evening's Reese's Perfect Play. Stephon Taylor.
And they got away with being able to not play Stephon Taylor a lot in the second half, partly because he gave them such great play early in the game. 9-man box, maybe even a 10-man box. Stanford runs the football. Taylor takes it to the house, and they're able to rest it for the second half.
And our Julie Alexandria has an update on Stephon Taylor. Julie.
Hey guys, that's right. Running back Stephon Taylor, they made the decision to keep him on the sidelines. They decided to conserve his energy as they felt they had a comfortable lead.
Makes perfect sense, doesn't it, Julie? I mean, he gave them what they needed early. Off they went, and now they'll have a chance to have them a little more rested for the championship game.
So we know what's going to take place. Speaking of the championship, college football's biggest championship games return to Fox Friday. It's the Pac-12 Championship live in primetime with the rematch of this game as these 8th-ranked Stanford Cardinal once again take on the 17th-ranked UCLA Bruins in Palo Alto. Next Saturday, it's the Big Ten Championship as 14th-ranked Nebraska battles Wisconsin. The Pac-12 and Big Ten Championships only on Fox. David Shaw, his record now 21-4, 4th win in a row for Stanford over UCLA. Their 6th consecutive win. And Jim Mora will go back into the laboratory and try to figure out a way to beat this Stanford Cardinal team on their home field. 35-17 the final. Stanford with the win.